What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Wingin It podcast. Jack, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I am making it, and unlike normal, when I usually forget to say this, if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. So we had a lot of interesting stuff happen this week, and I was talking to Jack before we got started, and we decided instead of doing the stuff everybody want to see, last we're gonna do that first, and we'll get into the other stuff. We'll get into that other stuff after we get into the main stuff right here. So first things first is the Tears of the Kingdom. We did not do a live reaction because it happened at 10 o'clock that day, and then we had the Final Fantasy 16 presentation. So I just did a reaction to that instead of doing Zelda right after that. I've seen this probably about 10 times. So instead of doing what normally do, because normally people do their own they do their breakdowns. They do this, a lot of analyzing. I ain't gonna do all that. What I want to do is something a little different. We're gonna go through the video and then we're gonna go back through it and stop it at points to show stuff that we actually like and what we're looking forward to story-wise. That's a little bit different than what everybody else doing. So with that being said, we're gonna start it right now. You're looking at this DLC. This damn DLC.
They could just thrown that in the game.
I don't know why they couldn't just make this look like Final Fantasy. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Like an expansion plan like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Okay? This is only for 30. Man, I love this train. I've probably seen this like 20 times.
Yeah, dude.
Zelda, we rely on your knight and that legendary sword he carries. Our last line of defense will be Link.
Link. I know why I am here. It's something only I can do.
Do not look away. You witness a king's revival and the birth of his new world.
Okay, let's go!
Everybody's favorite?
You are not alone.
Link. You are our final hope.
That's gonna be awesome wallpaper.
Link! You must find me.
Well, stop damn getting separated. Shit.
I know, right?
Got
You
time.
turn into
I don't know if you noticed this, Zelda, but I kind of have to fight a deranged evil god, and I don't know what Ganondorf's talking about. So you might want to not need me to find you. You probably need to come find me. I need your help. So, all right. So that was the trailer. All right. So now there are a couple things in this trailer that I liked, and I'm gonna stop this at. First of all, the atmosphere is just amazing. I love the Breath of the Wild scope of Breath of the Wild. It's freaking awesome. But there's one thing that I wanted people to see. This guy. I've been saying from the rip that like I think Ganondorf is a red herring. I don't think Ganondorf is the bad guy, is the villain for this. I think it's this dude right here, Demise. It's Demise. Yep. This is Demise. If you have not played Skyward Sword,
transition. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have not played through Skyward Sword, you don't know who the hell this is. I'm telling you right now, this dude made Ganon look like a.
Go ahead and say it.
I'm not gonna say it like that. In other words, Ganondorf don't stand a chance against him 1v1. Because Link in Skyward Sword didn't stand a chance against him 1v1. He got lucky and he sealed him, not killed him. I want y'all to remember that. He didn't beat him, he sealed him. So the fact that he's back is one of the first things that I actually noticed and liked about the trailer. I also like the fact that this goes back to that the second trailer where there was somebody saying that killed everybody. I think that's Demise. That wasn't Ganondorf. I think that's Demise.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that like I said, I'm not even like a huge Zelda person, but just knowing what I do know, like you can tell, like, yep, it's gonna get to that point. Especially when Nintendo was right and everybody that made a big fuss about it, they felt like giving the title away was going to ruin it. And from what they said, I mean, it's pretty spot on. When you talk about like the different tiers of like who has these little tier items, these little tier emblems or whatever. And then I feel like at some point, I mean, I don't know about Hylia, but for sure, Demise is going to make an appearance, like for sure. Like it's like he's gonna be that guy.
Because there's a thing in here, and I like the fact that they do get separated because that way you can actually have. Because it looks like we're gonna find out what she's doing to try to help. So here's now, of course, this is the part where I just don't.
Mission Impossible.
Somebody watch Mission Impossible. Somebody just watch Mission Impossible. Somebody watch Mission Impossible. Say, hey, we can do that too. But this part here, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I like the fact that like you see normal people are helping, because one of the things in Breath of the Wild was the reason why Link was so robotic in that game was because everybody just expected him to solve all their issues.
Right.
Period. Like it's even stated in some of the diaries you read in Mipha's diary. She's basically like they just expected him to go beat that Lionel.
Right.
You got a master, go take care of it. And so he basically turned into a robot. So it's nice to see that, hey, this time, hey, look, y'all, I need y'all help. I can't. You see, I'm glad people are picking up sword and shield and like, okay, we got to help this dude.
Right, like, yo, get off your ass. Like I've done most of the work. Like,
I see, I got this messed up, this COVID arm. Yeah, you don't want me to touch it, do you?
Right. Exactly. But
I don't know who this is.
All of these, I have no idea who that is. It's like on some dinosaur ordeal. Like, I don't know. I've seen so many breakdowns, and I have no clue. Even from like those that live in the Zelda lore. Like, hey,
I have an idea, but I may be wrong. Okay. I have an idea.
Who do you think this is then?
Vadi from the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, that from the handheld games. Vadi was the main. He was a sorcerer. So I'm thinking that has something to do with him probably, because like one of the murals they showed originally had a point that they used to like focus in on was something that looked like Vadi, and I'm like, that interesting. I'm like, that's interesting to me. That whole this is interesting to me. But I'm hoping they're not clearly evil. I'm hoping they're like semi-clearly evil.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay.
RJ, I hope she's playable, and I hope Ganondorf is playable too. I hope all three of them are playable.
Here's the interesting part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree. I hope they're playable. I think the key thing, they may not be. I think they might have one of those moments that we had at the end of Odyssey, where you had Bowser and Mario kind of team up. But I think throughout the entirety of the game, we're seeing a lot of like the I guess you could say the residents being involved, whether it was like the horse and carriage thing that we saw that Link put together. You see them fighting in the battlefield, and then even when you saw like the image towards the end of having like his little ragtag crew of mixed people, I think ultimately the only comparison I can give it to is get back on like some San Andreas type stuff. Where it's like, hey, look, I got my clique over here to hold down their whole fort, and then in the event, I don't know if they'll go to the point of, hey, this is being hit, you need to get over here type ordeal, or if it's just one time we took it over, this is ours, now we got to rebuild. And that's kind of how we're fighting this, and this is how we're doing it. But I think for sure you're going to build your teams out. And like, okay, I'm going to pick this person, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to fight off these bokoblins and whatever groups you have going on. And they might even have waves that come at you to kind of fight all this stuff off. Like, I think that's what's going to happen, because they're showing them way too much, like, especially when it comes down to fighting. Like, I think they're going to play an integral part in being a part of like this crew that you go into a fight with. Like you said, I can't do this by myself. So I need you, buddy, with the bucket on your head. Come fight with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I need everybody.
Like, this is your home too. This ain't just mine. Right. This is yours too. Man. Like, pick up your pitchfork and stick it through somebody.
Right. Make something happen. Spit on somebody. Do something.
Yeah. So I think the other part too, so the carriage part you're talking about, that's actually pretty interesting. But this is the part that threw some people off. Mech battle. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Straight up mech battle. So
I'm curious though.
The Stone Talus, dog. I mean, I hated Stone Taluses in Breath of the Wild. Them the one mini bosses, the area bosses that I hated. Like, I don't mind. I got used to the trolls and the Lionels and the Guardians, but Taluses, there was a pain. Always.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So this looks interesting though. I mean, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to make something else, but this looks interesting off the rip.
And that's why I was like, out of all things. Now, the one thing I noticed in this trailer, like, yes, Link is moving this whole catastrophe he got going on, but can he defend himself? Because they're missing with the arrows, but it's like, can he defend himself? Because he's just getting shot at the entire time he's moving.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that this is some type of weapon. I'm hoping.
Hopefully. I see the electric rod on there. So.
Yeah, because he got a little thing to move, I guess, to move it forward, backward, I'm guessing. So he has a little lever. Yeah. But like you said, I don't know if he can. I don't know. Clearly, the bokoblins need to go see the optometrist because they can't hit nothing.
Missing everything.
I'm like, he's literally right there. Literally.
But I'm curious as to how this thing is really going to fight, because granted, yes, you got like this little electric rod, but it looks like all this thing has to do is take one good swing and that whole thing disassembles. Like, it's a wrap.
Because that's the thing about Stone Talus, especially God forbid you do one of them, what is it, the silver ones?
Yeah.
The silver ones and the gold ones are ridiculous. So, yeah, good luck with that. Now, I think this is the part where, now I will say this. They released the voice for Ganondorf. It is being voiced by Matthew Mercer. You might know him as the Smash Brothers announcer guy. That's him. So let's see. See if this
I can do.
Do not look away. You witness a king's revival and the birth of his new world.
Now that part, I have a feeling that that's when Gandalf tries to fight Demise, and it does not go well.
Interesting.
Because
so you think they throw hands and
I think they throw hands, and because
okay.
the thing about Ganondorf that I've noticed ever since Wind Waker, they've tried to play him as a guy. Yeah, he's doing what is perceived bad, but he is a king. And Wind Waker straight up told you the Highlands ain't these people that's really, you know, they racist. Basically. They racist. Like a lot of them are they're very pompous and arrogant, and they're kind of racist, kind of. So it's kind of funny. That sequence. I was looking at. I'm like, yeah, this don't look like Ganondorf being evil. This looks like Ganondorf trying to fight Demise. Because remember, Demise in the first part of that trailer we saw, he's looking at a blood red moon. True. The part where we just saw with Ganon, he's putting both hands out like he's about to do an attack. And I'm like, it's in a blood red moon. So, okay. All right, thanks. Hey, it's RJ. Thanks. I didn't know that. I thought that was him. So my bad. If that's not Matt Mercer. If he doesn't voice the Smash Brothers announcer, my bad. But he is the voice of Ganondorf. That's been confirmed. Right. The other thing, what's the other thing? It is it this girl? Where's that girl at? I think I went past her. Because there's another character that they show that I'm pretty sure is going to be cosplayed by pretty much everybody this fall.
I think I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Because I'm like, as soon as people saw that, let me just play it.
Okay, let's go.
There it is. Her.
Yeah. So I saw so many guesses as to who that is.
Yeah.
You need one of them little knobs out there. I see people.
Yeah, I need a knob for this. So, but yeah. That's another character that's okay. Who the hell is that? So, no clue. But it's gonna be very interesting finding out who she is. Oh, they really did. It really is half a second. God dang.
It really is this quick. Well, seeing all of the tears under her eyes, I feel like this may be some form of Zelda. Once something happens, I don't know, because when you think about her continuing to hold that tear that she has, and then you look at the earrings, you look at because I think Zelda, when you see her, only has one under her eye at the time, but then that one has all of them under her eyes, and I'm like, okay, is this kind of on her Super Saiyan shit? All the tears, bam, this is what I do, and then I feel like this beam is her too, coming from her hand and just kind of spraying everybody. Yeah. So I don't know, it's interesting.
The other thing that I've noticed is because the Triforce is still supposed to be split, because this is in the timeline of Ocarina, Twilight, Skyward Sword, and Ocarina, the Triforce got split into each of Ganondorf, Zelda, and Link. That's when they became bearers. The Triforce of Courage wasn't on Link's hand in Breath of the Wild. It was never on Link's hand.
No,
the full Triforce was on Zelda. So I wonder if this is going to be them getting it split back up into their particular pieces, because I don't see a situation where, unless they try to explain that away, to me it makes more sense to have all three of them have to fight Demise in some way, shape, or form.
So some team up stuff, or
on some team up, because the whole story since Ocarina of Time has revolved around the three of them and their Triforce piece. Because even in Twilight Princess, they were like, it was a cruel trick that the gods placed the Triforce of Power on a thief. And no, it wasn't. That's he's the representative of Den. Den is the goddess of power. He's the representative of Den. So that's not a cool trick. It's there for a reason.
Right.
So if the reason is, and I think that's why I'm so glad that once they introduced the character of Demise, I'm like, oh, this guy's the main bad guy. He's the main villain.
Right.
He's the main villain. So each one of them, Den, Furor, and Nehru, each have a representative. Their representative is Ganondorf, Link, and Zelda. They have their relationship is central to the story. That's why when people used to tell me, "Oh, you can make Zelda the hero," I'm like, "She already is."
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they would get mad, and I'm like, "Well, okay, then why can't Link be black? Or you're bringing race into this? You're bringing gender into this. So what's the difference?" You know. Because if you go by the lore revolves around those three characters. You shouldn't change it. Right. You shouldn't change it. That's what they revolve around. The other thing too is, and this is another thing that I hope is playable, is the champions.
But you are not alone.
Link.
Gleeok. But yeah, the champions being I'm hoping Prince Sidon, Tulin, which is kind of weird that Teba ain't in this. I hope he don't get capped. I'm hoping Teba and Yunobo don't get killed.
It's like it seems like there's a lot of characters between like the music and recalling to the first game that's kind of like popping up. So this is pretty interesting. Like
Riju dual wielding scimitars, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be cool. Hashtag Riju for Smash. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they do the champions, because one of the things that we didn't really truly get in Breath of the Wild was a true sidekick character. Yeah, you could have if you had your wolf amiibo from Twilight Princess, you could bring that wolf in, but that wasn't your real sidekick. So I'm wondering if they're actually letting, like, when you have to play certain regions or whatever, that person, like if you have to go to the Zora region, that Prince Sidon becomes your sidekick now. Even when you go to the sky, that's your sidekick. Because there's a lot of islands in the sky, dude.
Oh yeah, like tons, and they're all different. Like I saw something that seemed like they were like stacked on top of each other. And then the one question that somebody asked that was legitimate in the beginning of the trailer, like, how high are you in the beginning of this damn game? Like, how high in the sky are you going?
Well, you gotta be high.
That crazy?
You gotta be high because you couldn't see them.
No.
Number one. So it has to be that high. And apparently those islands from Skyward Sword never went away.
Right.
They never went anywhere. So they've been there the whole time. So this is gonna be interesting. That was my favorite parts of the game. I like the new design for Gleeok. And that is a spider ball on Gleeok's neck. Samus would love this.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, guys, I'll take care of this. I wonder how that worked with Samus went over into Zelda.
It wouldn't last long. Between missiles and bombs and everything, it wouldn't last long.
Zelda's gonna have to be like, Samus, you can't destroy the whole planet, right?
Right.
That's not happening here. Okay. You can have with some of these monsters, but you don't need to destroy the whole planet. All right. Like keep that Super Saiyan Metroid Dread under control. Right.
And especially the simple fact that, hey, look, it's a sky island, so all I gotta do is just make something pop down there, and I'm up here. Okay, we can make that happen. No big deal. I ain't gotta be on the ground to make shit blow up. I can do it from
I just blow shit up. I just blow everything up here. But that's all I wanted to do with the Tears of the Kingdom trailer. Dude, there's a lot to like. Me personally, I just think it's funny. I think it's funny seeing all the people that were staunch. It's DLC and it's staunch. It's this is a $7 game. All of a sudden now they're backtracking.
Right.
All it was one trailer.
I don't know, man. It's one of these things to where, because it's hard to decipher on who is who on Twitter at this point. Because you got the crowd that, like, for example, like with Smash, right? You had the crowd that really, really was looking forward to new stuff for Smash. Then you had the other crowd that was like, hey, I'm just here for the announcements. So if it's not anybody that's super big that I can go crazy over or make announcements over, then yeah, it was a dud to me. And I feel like Zelda's the same way. Like these trailers are so amazing. Like so much so with the music, the way that they showcase everything. Like they really give you a trailer. Like making the hair stand up on the back of your neck, like just really giving you chills just from the music and how everything plays out, to where I think that's where people really care about it. Like we already know the game is going to sell well. There's people that are going to buy it strictly off of impulse. Like I got to be a part of the crowd that say I bought Zelda. But they never really cared anything about the game. So when we were talking about DLC, well, let's stop acting like Breath of the Wild didn't get DLC. Like that, like the game got DLC. Yeah. But then to try to differentiate like what DLC is versus a sequel, the way people were coming at it, then no game has a sequel at that point. Because if you're saying, okay, it's the same foundation and we're building on top of it, that's a sequel. So if you're saying that's DLC, then no game has ever had sequels. It's just all been expansions and DLCs. Because that's essentially what you're doing.
I mean, Resident Evil 2 and 3? You're
right.
basically telling me that that's DLC.
I don't know what you want. Like, you want new world, new graphics, new everything. Like, why would somebody start from scratch after spending 5 or 6 years on a game? That makes no sense whatsoever.
On an engine and all the assets that they have for it. Like, come on,
exactly.
Man. That's like half the damn battle. Once you got your engine set up and you got all your assets, that's a load that you don't have to worry about.
Right.
So, I mean, I just look at something. And some of these people are prominent people with a lot of followers, a lot of, influence as far as social media is concerned. And they're the ones that be saying this stuff. And I just be sitting there looking at them like, hey, y'all just trying to be controversial just to be controversial, or y'all trying to get these clicks up? Which one is it?
That's so what it is. Like, people just trying to get these clicks up, and then you got those that bait as like trolls. It's so, that's annoying. It really is. It's very annoying.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that happened this week was the Sony State of Play for Final Fantasy 16. I did do a reaction to that. So I told y'all, I have a bad taste in my mouth from Final Fantasy 15. That does not mean I did not like some of the things that I saw in 16 in the presentation that they gave. There's some things that I actually like. The only real thing that I think that was kind of a little bit off for me was the whole icon situation. Now the icons look like the actual, summons from previous Final Fantasy iterations. So
right.
I thought it was cool seeing them fight like the way they did, but y'all know me, I don't like quick time events for the sake of quick time events. And to me, if you're gonna fight, let them fight. So if you need a tree for that, then let's have a tree for that. But that looked like a lot of, okay, at this point in the game, you're gonna have to transform into the icon, and then you'll do that fight in the game, and then you'll go out of it and go back to normal. I don't know how I feel about that. I do like that. I do like having a. That's a dire wolf. That's not a dog. That's a dire wolf. For sidekick. I do like that, and that it's not a dumb AI, it's a smart AI for the dog, for the dire wolf. I like that. There's some things to like about it. Once again, like Final Fantasy music is always gonna be top tier. That music is always gonna be top tier. So the music was, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be popping. It's not for PS4. From what they said, it's a PS5 exclusive. So what I'm thinking is, if it don't sell well, it'll be on PS4 next year
or PC. And then PC. Because PC eventually, right?
Yeah, I think it's PC eventually anyway, but not off the rip. But if it doesn't sell well, I can see them porting it to the PS4, especially if you have a Pro. You got a PS4 Pro, especially if you have that. But they did say it is PS5 exclusive, from what I understand. I don't mind I understand the argument between action RPG and turn-based. It just depends. Gamers nowadays, I don't think, look, I like my turn-based system if it's a good turn-based system. Everybody's turn-based system ain't good. So that's number one. But I think gamers nowadays, they do like the more fast-paced action. So I think them going the route of an action RPG does fit today's gamer a little bit better because they don't want to take the time to do turn-based.
Right.
Now, somebody like me, I don't care. I play Tales of games and turn-based style games, so it don't matter to me as long as the actual combat system is good. So, your thoughts on that?
I never had an issue with Final Fantasy being an action RPG because, I mean, let's be honest, like Final Fantasy is never like the same across the board. Like when you talk about from story standpoint, character standpoint, you're getting something different pretty much every iteration of the game. So even though they've gone the turn-based route, I feel like it's okay because it's never one of those things of like, okay, we stayed with Cloud, we stayed with any other characters. You know what I'm saying? Like they've always switched it up, they've always changed it up. So even when we were going into what was it, Final Fantasy 13 at the time, it's like, okay, you can see they were just trying something new. Even when you go into the MMORPGs, like they're always trying to do something different. And you think about a franchise that's lasted this long, you have to change it up at some point. Like you have to, because I mean, even look at God of War. God of War hasn't been that long in the tooth like a Final Fantasy or even like a Zelda or Mario, but you got to, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Now, the route that they went, I think, is interesting due to the fact that you're competing with the Devil May Cries, you're competing with the Bayonettas. So it's like, what do you do different? Like, how can you either make this something that people would love and continue want to see you do as like a spinoff or whatever the case may be, or is it just going to be a short button smash situation that people will get over after they do a first playthrough? It's going to be kind of difficult.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, RJ, I agree with you in theory. I think the issue with Square Enix is Square Enix has been losing money, so they're trying to do stuff to make so they can get that mainstream to get their stuff. I like I said, to me, it don't matter to me because I just want the combat system to actually be good. Because I played great action RPG combat systems. I played horrible action RPG systems. I played great turn-based systems. I played horrible turn-based systems. So it just depends. Now with Square Enix, I'm a little bit. I understand what they're trying to do because they're trying to appeal to a larger audience because they just ain't making money like that. From Software, they have their core dedicated people, and that's who's gonna get it. I would not be surprised if they start losing money. I would not be surprised if they put a difficulty thing in there. I wouldn't be surprised. But right now, if you ask for a difficulty thing in a From Software game, the fan base will shame you. So I've seen it happen. I'm like, man, y'all really shouldn't be shaming somebody just because, like, they'll be like, you just got to get good. Like, okay, yeah, but to be fair, a couple of those games have broken combat systems, so it's not that they're tough. It's that their combat system actually is broken. So there's that. But I understand, and I agree with you. It's just Square Enix has to do something to try to get some money going. Because right now, I think they're still hemorrhaging money, even with all the stuff they're making off of the HD2D games.
Because at this point, and I don't know if you know, but if we're talking about the turn-based RPG genre, who's on top of that? Like, who's successful in that lane?
Right now, I'd have to say Neon Falcon with the Trails of series, the Legend of Heroes series. They are, but their games aren't. Their games ain't like their games aren't to the scale of a Final Fantasy or even a Xenoblade game. They're not to the scale of those. So their games are, they're about 100 hours, but they're very story driven. They're not like spectacle driven.
Gotcha. Okay.
So. Yeah,
because I look at this genre, and while all the rage, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2 even, like I think at some point, especially now with so many things consuming your time, it's very rare you see people that's willing to sit down and invest 100+ hours into a turn-based RPG. Like it's very hard to find. Like I've even gotten to the point to where like I know this game looks good, this game looks amazing, but damn, do I have time? Like I don't even have time for the short game sometimes. So imagine me trying to invest in the way that I like to be a completionist, and like, okay, well, let me go this way, and let me, sit down and grind a little bit, and then they say, you're sitting there for 20 some hours, and you grind it, but then here comes the adult life, and now you got to put it down. And so by the time you come back, you're like, well, what the hell was I doing?
Because that was 2 weeks later, and it's like, what
right.
It's
tough. You can't do those in one.
I was a bad traveler too. They got me like that a couple times.
Yeah. And and RJ, I get it too. Yeah, I mean, it does suck. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if anybody was going to champion this genre, it'd be Final Fantasy. Like they will be the ones to keep it afloat. Because when you think about like shooters, the first thing that comes to people's mind is Call of Duty, right? So it's like, okay, there's always like that last of the Mohicans that can really carry the torch, and everybody still supports. And I feel like Final Fantasy could be that. It's just I feel like they gotta chill on all the hype, cinematic. Like they gotta chill out with that because they do too much.
Yeah, because they need to stop with the OVAs. They need to stop with the movies. They need to stop with the building statues. Because every time you build statues and toys, that's money.
Yes,
that you could have saved. Give them an art book. They ain't got to have a full on like the Final Fantasy VII remake. They had a full Cloud on Fenrir bike thing at the highest tier. Like, come on, man, that costs money to make. You know what I'm saying? That costs money to make. So you're that's one of the things. And yeah, I trust me, dude. I feel you on that. But at the same time, I do understand stuff. I do understand it from a business perspective that. Look, man, gamers nowadays, they got short attention spans. They're not trying to. They just not. So you got to give them that flashy, bombastic stuff sometimes. It's just unfortunate that's how it goes. On the talking of, unfortunately, that's how it goes. So are you ready for everybody to get mad at us about Redfall again?
Hey, look, it is what it is. Like. Like we can have a whole conversation on this and Microsoft themselves. Like, but we can go. Yeah, you can go ahead. Just lead into it. Yeah.
Okay, so apparently the studio behind Redfall, I forgot their name. I should have wrote it down. They
Arcane.
Arcane. They put out a tweet basically saying that on the Series X it's going to be 4K, 30 frames per second locked. On the Series S, it's going to be 1440p. 30 frames per second launch, 30 frames per second at launch with a performance patch later. Question is, should they have just delayed it until 60 frames was ready to go? That's the question. Me personally, no, because wouldn't that have been the third time they delayed it?
Correct.
Or something like that. So, no. Now, people are acting all crazy, but one thing, Avengers did the same thing. This is the same thing that happened to Avengers. It's also the same thing that happened to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you played it in 4K, it was at 30 frames a second. Why are y'all? Y'all should be mad that they keep promising y'all stuff that they can't, deliver. This ain't the first game that did that. This is not the first game this generation that did that. So my thing is stop clutching your pearls and acting all crazy when they done did this before. They've done this before.
It's weird. And RJ, I agree. Like it'd be a little different if this was kind of like a multi-platform thing, but like the fact that this is starting off 30, and it's fine. I mean, granted, yes, I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters anyway, but 30, and then you said it's coming later with a patch. How much later? Because I've been on that annoying side too of like, okay, exactly. I've been on that annoying side of like, man, I just complete this game at 30. And it's like, oh, here's a 60 frames patch. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why did you do this before? But nonetheless, I mean, it's still it's one of those things of like, look, they talk too much, and this is what gets them in trouble. Microsoft does this a lot. And I'm not going to put this as like a grand scope because there's different studios that speak for themselves. It's not just all Phil. These studios speak for themselves. So when you come out and you say everything you're saying, and then you show up probably like what, weeks? Because we're what, weeks out from it?
Yeah, weeks out. It comes out May, the first week in May, I think. It's the first weekend in May.
So it's like, now if you tell me, hey, first week of May is 30, by week 2 or 3, here's the patch. Okay, cool. Just had to wait 2 or 3, and then for those of you that didn't buy it, I mean, hell, it's on Game Pass. So I mean, do with it what you will. I'm just more. I feel like it's more things you need to be concerned about outside of 30 or 60. Will this bitch be stable in the sense of connection when you playing with people? Like that should be your bigger concern. I don't care nothing about anything else. Like 30 is cool, seeing as they told you 60 is coming. But how's the stability when you're playing the damn game? Like, are you having fun with the game? Because it can be as fluid as it wants to. You can spray perfume on shit, doesn't mean that it's not shit. It's just you can do what you want to. But I mean, honestly, I have no idea. I have no desire to play the game anyway. But it is what it is.
Well, my thing is the flack that we got for just saying that. Look, man, we remember Back for Blood, and we got told we were haters. Exactly. But like, bruh, like we played games with this same style and it just didn't work. Just didn't work. So now, like, how y'all feel now? I mean, how you feel now, Redfall fans? Y'all still mad at us? This ain't us.
I'm all for being passionate about a game, especially one that looks good to you. But hey, sometimes you just gotta take the L, homie. Like that's what it is. I'm sorry.
And RJ, once again, you are absolutely right. You also have to think about input lag on this.
Correct.
You do.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be an online game, a live service game.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you on what you want to do with it. But one thing I will say is, like, I'm not a shadow. I'm not any type of tech guru, but I really wish we could stop hearing this Series S is holding this generation.
They ain't holding nobody back. That's BS, and they know it.
They know
it's just a cheaper alternative. That's all it is. It's a cheaper alternative for people who don't have the 500 for the Series X. If you're a parent and you got multiple kids, you ain't trying to spend $600 per system.
No.
Because you have to buy a game and you have to get another controller if you got siblings.
Yep.
You're not gonna walk around here with one controller. No. So you spending up to what? $600, maybe $800? Come on, man. That's all the Series X is. Series S is. It is a cheaper alternative. That's all it is. So that's one of the reasons why. There's one of the reasons why Nintendo keeps having the stuff that they have, because it's not breaking nobody's bank.
No.
When they bring a system out.
And I don't think people really care to look into that. It's definitely a selfish mentality within the gaming space. Yeah. It's like, hey, I can afford it, so I want it this way. And we all know that's how it goes. Because when we talk about business, we've said it 10 times over. If half of the people on here were to run these businesses, they would have been in the ground a long time ago.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, they don't know how business works. They don't care to know how business works, but they continue to run their mouth like they do. And when it comes down to Microsoft making these purchases, when you talk about Redfall, the fact that Hellblade was the first game we saw and it still ain't showed back up. Like, it reminds me of Shin Megami Tensei. That was the first game we saw for the Switch, and that thing showed up years later.
Last year?
I was like, this seems familiar. I was like, I know I've seen this before.
It was in the first sizzle reel. It was in the first sizzle and the first direct. And that done this to last year. I'm like, dang, really, bro? So but like I said, Redfall, I hope it's good. I hope it doesn't turn into a Cyberpunk situation where it sucks at launch and then next year is so much better, but people ain't playing it because it sucked at launch. So we'll just have to see. Right. And a little bit of a bright spot. So the Super Mario Brothers movie I think they said it's on track to cross 650 million by the end of the day. I think they said it's on track for that, which means I don't see them not making $1 billion worldwide.
It's something crazy has to happen for them not to see $1 billion.
Yeah,
like they got to take it out of the theaters for it not.
Yeah, or something.
Because I know people that's on their 5th viewing.
Yeah. I mean, look, man. Hey, look. The greatest love song of 2023, Peaches, man.
Hey, Peaches, bro. Like when I tell you, when I saw people literally was like, oh, there was no like memorable catch line. There was no memorable this. I said, my kids can't stop singing that damn Peaches song. Like, they was going singing Peaches, Peaches, Peaches. I'm like, shut up. Like, but so they don't need like a catchphrase or here's the slide, because Mario has tons of those, even from like here we go, Yahoo, whatever. Even Luigi's Mario is a catch line. And when Jack Black has Bowser do a whole song for Peaches and got my kids and they friends at the birthday party the other day singing this damn song, trust me, this movie's gonna see $1 billion. They didn't need this to be a musical like Frozen. That one song was the musical in itself. Like, you didn't need one.
They have even officially dropped that section of the movie on Illumination's YouTube page. That minute for Oscar? Yes, well, they're trying to get it up for an Oscar. It's up for a Grammy now.
It'd be crazy if it don't win. I'd be surprised if it don't win.
Dude, bro, Jack Black is a fool, dog. Black is a fool.
Entertaining.
In fact, he's respected too. He's respected too, so it's not even one of those things to where he'll get nicked because people don't know him. You know Jack Black, and plus he's entertaining and he's talented, so people know him. And it's also with a popular series like Mario, and it was a funny song, and I mean it was musical. He did a whole music video behind it with him dressed up in a green suit with the red hair. Bro.
Dude, if he don't show up like that to the Grammys, I'm gonna be mad.
Yo,
he got to show up like that to the Grammys. I'm gonna need the green suit with the red mohawk.
Yep.
I'm gonna need that. But yeah, they're on track to make $650 million by the end of the night. They still have shows going on now, so I'm guessing tomorrow they'll have the true numbers, but it's on track for that. So we got Sonic, both Sonic movies are very well done. We got Mario, Mortal Kombat. I didn't really care for that new Mortal Kombat, but that's a whole nother 3 hours of review.
It was good if you don't count the NPC part. Like the lead didn't have to be what he was, but the rest of it, like how all the characters ran into each other, all that seemed okay.
First of all, don't defend that damn trash ass movie. Don't defend
the costume design and all that.
The only parts of that movie, Shadow, that you like was the first 7 minutes and the last 10. You want to know what's about the first 7 minutes and the last 10 minutes of that movie? Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. That's the only part.
Are you talking about the OG? I thought you were talking about what you talking about HBO.
I thought it just came out.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat that just came out. That's the only parts of that movie that you like. The first 7 minutes and the last 10. You like Kano because everybody liked Kano, but that movie sucked.
Kano was funny, right? The movie sucked, but because the idea of how you got your powers, I'm like, what? Like, there was barely any fights. Like the fights were like, okay, they were here. It was kind of like Fast and Furious. Like we used to drive, but now we just see shit blow up and doing adventures. Like, right.
I like that they gave the backstory to Scorpion too, though. Like, I mean, because
I like that.
The best parts of the movie was the first 7 minutes and the last 10. and both of those parts of the movies have the same thing in it. Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. Best parts of the movie.
I concede.
Trying to defend that garbage ass. I'm sorry, Lord.
Right.
Anyway,
I will never do that.
Anyway, but yeah, with that, and some people are thinking like, okay, what should Nintendo do next? Me personally, I do not think they should do anything in live action. The reason why is because one, it costs too much money, and when I'm looking at something like a Metroid, you can do so much stuff with animation that you can't do in live action. And she's fighting things that are 15 times her size.
So it could be CGI like Mario was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, animated or CG like that, but not a live action. Because even if you do live action, it's gonna have to have CG mixed into it, which means now you got to have to find a very good CGI team. Because if you don't,
Zelda
it's
should
be
be anime.
Yeah,
It should be.
Yeah, and with like, I don't know if you guys have read the Twilight Princess manga. They just wrapped it up. That right there, Legend of Zelda should be just anime.
Yeah,
that's because they already have manga for it. So
I mean, you look at.
I wouldn't mind seeing stop motion Star Fox though.
I've heard somebody else mentioned that too, and I'm interested to see what that would look like.
What?
Well, they already did it for the teaser or whatever for E3.
And
they did the stop.
The stop motion was supposed to be on Netflix, but that's the other one. Like Zelda and Star Fox was supposed to be on Netflix, and dude leaked it.
Yeah.
And Nintendo pulled it. So
they had it.
Yeah, they had it because I saw the actual trailer for Legend of Zelda, which was actually pretty good. I'm like, dude, the art style actually works, and I can see this working. And dude leaked it. So that's saying anytime a real leak happens and somebody gets this, is how you know if it's a real leak. Somebody gets fired.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Like the GameStop guy who leaked what was it? He leaked something recently. They fired him. Mm-hmm. The guy who leaked the Sonic image, that dude didn't get fired.
Yeah. Because it was intentional.
It was intentional. You never heard anybody getting fired because it was intentional. So it's stuff like that. Now, yeah, Dark Void, that Star Fox anime that we got the first episode of and we never saw another episode of again, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Where's the second episode?
Also, Daemon X Machina.
Daemon X Machina.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Zodia, I agree with you, but the problem is that's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and I don't think Nintendo gonna be wanting to put up that much off the rip because you don't know. This ain't Mario. Like Mario, anybody can go watch that. If Mario is the second best known mascot next to Mickey,
I would say he's higher than Mickey at this point.
At this point, yeah, because Mickey been messing up. But before the end, everybody knew who that plumber was, and everybody knew who that jingle was.
Yeah.
But I think Zelda, Samus, even Star Fox, they're not as well known, and I don't know how they would be received from the movie-going audience. Because I'll be 100 with y'all. I didn't think Mario was gonna do this. I thought they were gonna get maybe around 250, 300 mil, maybe.
I didn't think he was gonna break box office records for the genre, but I knew it would be profitable, and I figured it was gonna make a killing on home video whenever it started.
Yeah. I already got my pre-order. So yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's what I thought the movie was gonna come from. I did not think it was gonna be doing this. Straight up. Also, I didn't think Jack Black was gonna be doing the damn ballad in there either. But okay.
Well, I mean, it was your request because you love the Mario Rabbit so much. You wanted a Mario musical, and you were given one.
No, I wanted a Mario diss track.
Well, that's still yet to come.
Yeah, I need Nas to get in on that. But yeah, the remix featuring Nas, Ether Part 2, Mario style. Grant Kirkhope and Nas.
Yep.
That would actually be dope, actually.
It's like, how come Mario don't rep no projects?
Yeah. hey, he be working in Queens.
Yep.
Hey, via the commercial, he be working in Queens. But yeah, that's just the weirdness of that. I'm glad Super Mario Bros. Was successful. Personally, I think if I'm Nintendo, I would probably go to the Star Fox route next. Just because I think that could probably work. Plus, you already got that first episode out the way anyway. You could just re-release that. Well, it's still on their YouTube channel.
That franchise can be as big as Mario because they're animatronic characters and they're colorful.
Yeah.
That can work. It just, they've got to reinvest like all over again because there's been such a lapse. So I think they've got an opportunity there.
So, I mean, so that's the question though. Like, okay, with Star Fox, if you go the movie route, do you start from scratch? Do you say this is how Star Fox became to be Star Fox?
Honestly, yes, because the last couple of games have just been remakes of. It's that same story. Star Fox 64 is the retelling.
Yeah, Star Fox 64 and Star Fox Zero are both the same thing. It's a retelling of the original one from the SNES.
Okay, because I mean, at this point, this could really be a rebirth of Star Fox because I feel like I would do the same thing with the games. Like, but I think I would switch it up a little bit in the sense of, yes, this is kind of like the beginning or retelling of Star Fox, but let's do some ground stuff too, like we did in Adventures. So that way, it's like this whole thing opposed to just this dog fighting,
Star Wars, but instead of making it full on Star Wars, make it a little bit different. I got you.
I would honestly start the movie off investing heavily in James McCloud. Make it hurt.
True.
Halfway through the movie, or do like a TV series and make that the first like 4 episodes.
Yeah, and then have him get portrayed in.
Yeah. Because if not, like you're just kind of thrown in and you don't really. It's not like when in the game you kind of find out as you go, and that's kind of interesting, but that's not interesting to moviegoers.
Yeah, moviegoers got to tell them. That's what I'm saying. And if you're gonna do it, I would. That's why I'm like, I wouldn't go Metroid yet, just because I know that story. And if you tell that thing from the beginning like it's supposed to be told, it is bloody and violent and fiery.
Well, Metroid would be too woke, so.
Well, no, Metroid won't be too woke. Metroid won't be too woke because Metroid won't be written by nobody from Hollywood.
They're complaining that Peach is too woke in the movie.
Yeah, that was funny. They had me laughing.
Yeah, I'm like, play these games? Like,
I'm like, have you not played these games since like '94? Like, dude, Jesus.
Hell, before that, Mario 2. She was the best character in the game.
Yeah.
No, I would argue Luigi was better. She just had the best jump.
Yeah, well, he was harder to control, but he had the best jumping maneuverability for sure.
Yes, he definitely had the best maneuverability.
You buzzing?
You buzzing.
Yeah.
So I see RJ said Kirby. What would we do with a Kirby movie?
Well, like, Kirby already had an anime. Kirby already had
I know
an anime.
that.
Yeah.
So, but let's say if we go the movie route, what would you story wise?
The promos for the game. I'll have them a live action, the CGI Kirby, and he's swallowing cars. Like I'd do it. Why not?
So you go post-apocalyptic off the rip.
Yeah. I mean, he's a cloud, man. Like I don't know how else can you really.
Why are you talking about Kid Buu cousin like that, man?
Look, man, I literally Kid Buu. Man, just he do what he want to do, and then you can have DDD try to destroy Earth or whatever, and then he protects Earth. I mean, that's what Sonic did.
Basically,
right. Yeah. Doesn't bring real
that one. Yeah, just do. That's if there was one thing I could change about Sonic, I would not use anybody. I would not do the live action mix. I just wouldn't do that. That works for them. They found something that works for them, but I wouldn't have did it. But whatever. Kirby, I can see them doing that. The other thing, though, to be in all honesty, I would keep the comedic route for the moment and just to do a DK movie.
True.
Look, because DK was dope.
Yeah.
DK was dope in the Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah, add the rest of the cons and keep it moving.
They showed Diddy and Dixie in there.
Yeah,
they showed Diddy, Dixie, and Funky. Actually, Funky was in there too. They showed him. Yeah, so I'm like,
we need the Kremlings in there too.
Yeah, I would do that. And once again, you already got the assets for it, so you don't really have to change much. And now all you just got to do is bring King K. Rool and them in there.
Don't spoil this for me, but I'm gonna ask a simple question. Is DK not cranky in that movie?
So that's where people were getting upset about that because it's like they erased DK Jr. in a way. So it seems like that is cranky, but
they're not. They don't want to.
They didn't say.
They didn't say.
They didn't explicitly say.
I mean, Nintendo, they could just say, well, that's a different timeline. Like, they could do that, I guess.
Yeah, they could easily do that, but you do see some stuff from the Wrecking Crew in there. You do see some stuff from there is a Kid Icarus sighting in there. There is a Spike sighting in there. There are a lot of Easter eggs because I got to go back because I missed a few of them. I was laughing too hard at some stuff. There's some stuff, man. There's some stuff in there. There's so much stuff in there that's funny. So
I'm prepping myself. We shall see how this goes.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to just take a day and just go in the afternoon while everybody's at school and just do it like that. Hey man, everything all right?
Yeah. And it just hit me for a second.
Okay. So
Google figured I was gearing up to say something, and they wanted to stop me.
Gotcha. I told you about pissing off Jim Ryan. So
That part.
so anything you want to add about Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Only thing I was going to say, because I was about to say it before I got rudely cut off from my internet. If anybody's realized anything about Peach over the years, she was never really a damsel in distress. Bowser just wanted to keep her off the battlefield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the same situation that happens with Zelda in The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I would tell people all the time, like, dude, like, if you actually start looking, if you actually pay attention to the narratives and some of the lore of these games, a lot of the women in Nintendo stuff, like
They self-sufficient.
Yeah, Samus. Yeah. Go on to test fate. Zelda from Ocarina of Time forward. You don't want that smoke. Princess Peach in Odyssey, Peach just ups and leaves at the end of the game. She could have walked at any time, and at the end of the game, she literally does that. She just
said deuces to both of them and then just left and went on vacation.
I mean, that just got to tell you. That got to tell you something, though. If she could just up and walk and leave like that, Bowser really couldn't hold her.
He couldn't.
No, she chose to stay there. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if they count that as canon, but Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, man, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, and she on a whole nother thing there, man. It's Super Paper Mario. I know a lot of people didn't like that game. Peach off the chain. Like, she just... Yeah, she just does not care.
Yeah, that's how powerful she is. So you had people reviewing a movie that they have not played the games of since Super Mario Bros. 3, so they didn't understand why there was a cat suit power-up. They didn't understand the Tanuki suit power-up. They did not understand the whole blue shell situation.
Bug me if they don't understand the Tanuki suit, because that was in Mario 3.
Yeah, but they didn't know it. They didn't understand the Mario Kart part. I'm like, it's literally the Rainbow Road.
So should I address this? Like, because this is a people thing, right?
Yeah, it's a people thing.
So I'll just say the quiet part out loud. There are people of my age and a little bit younger that grew up and knew about Nintendo firsthand because it was popular. Then they heard about it third party because they weren't popular after that, or they weren't the in thing then at the time. So now they get older and they're popular again, in both in pop culture, and everybody and their damn mama bought a Switch. So they probably didn't play or extensively invest in any of these Mario games for 5 generations of consoles at this point. They haven't seen it since NES. And these are people that are targeted to write articles for other people. And they're exposing themselves in their writing, because based on their memory, these are how these characters are supposed to go. And I'm like, that game was made in 1985, right? The last game you played on NES was made in 1988. A lot has happened since then, and 2023. So you've got there's a lot of people that are in that, they're stuck in that loop, and they won't admit that they're in that loop because they feel like, based on them scrolling Instagram every day, they know everything they need to know. So that's and there's a lot of, I will say, a lot of quote unquote normies fall into that category.
Well, I mean, you're scrunching down 40 plus years of games into an hour and a half movie.
Yeah. And they did pretty good, but so for what I understand, so I don't understand.
I mean, dude, I didn't think they was gonna be able to pull it off, and they found a way to do it. That being said, I can't give anybody that is of the movie going, the movie going critics, I can't give them a pass, because I'm like, it's easy to do 10 minutes of research if you don't understand something. Yeah, because this is based off of a game. This is based off of a game series. This ain't like if you didn't know about The Hobbit, let me go see if I can find the Cliff Notes real quick to put stuff together so I can understand, so I won't make myself sound like a fool when I'm reviewing it. Because they do that. Because you don't read every book. So I can't really give them a pass for that. And some people, they just do it for, I need to get my clicks up this month.
So I've never read the Witcher books. I've played the games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still don't feel like I know enough to go and completely bash the show unless it's just actually done really bad, like
unless it's actually bad.
Yeah, like really bad. Like I can see the mic moving in the frame, like that kind of stuff. That's what I would complain about, not the lore. If I'm not myself invested in the lore, I can't as an aficionado pop in and talk about, oh, well, the lore of the Witcher is broken because blah blah blah, and then my background is just the video game. I can't really, you know what I mean? Not in good conscience, I can't do that.
But you have movie critics that were doing that. That's why, like, when you look at the tomato score on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score damn near 100%, and the critic score is like 40 something. You're like, but then you see some of the critics' reviews, and you're like, what the hell are you expecting? Schindler's List? You're not getting that. Oscar, dude.
It's almost like the Wii U strategy all over again. Well, if we all collectively hate it, we can influence what the customer response will be.
Like, nah, you can't do that because once again, the only thing I would say about the Super Mario Bros. Movies is exactly what it's supposed to be—a fun movie. That's it. They're not trying to win no Oscar. They're not trying to rack up on awards. They just made a fun movie. That's all they did.
Right.
Made a fun movie and collected money.
That's what they do. So, just some of those reviews. It was just like, did we watch the same movie?
Let's see. You watch the same movie, but you, as someone who is experienced with the property, understood what the movie was trying to do versus somebody who didn't want to spend 15 minutes of their life just looking up some story beats for the series to be like, oh, okay, this references this references that, this makes sense for this. And the even worse thing is if they had done that and they showed that they even cared just a little bit to put a little bit of time into the review and the thoughts that they put into the review, they would have garnered more attention from the crowd that this was actually focused towards.
Yeah. Because if you would have saw some of them reviews, you would have been like, I'm not going to watch this. This sounds horrible.
Yeah.
The fan in me wants Nintendo's next outing to require them to partner with Microsoft, because it would be cool for you to see a trailer of a sequel to the Mario movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the camera pans back from a screen of somebody watching a Mario movie, and they're holding a beer, and they say that's a load of shit, and then they turn the TV off, and then they play Killer Instinct on the Game Boy, and that's Conquer.
I see where
you know how it actually would work.
I see where you're going, but I don't think a lot of people would understand that.
A lot of people wouldn't get that reference. I was thinking more along the lines you would see like the next setup happening with Mario, and then it pans away from Mario and Luigi over to Banjo. That's what I thought you was gonna go with.
No, but Conquer makes sense. But
Conquer said, "Fuck that Baron Bird."
Yeah. Conquer makes sense if you do it as a post credit scene. Though it has to be a post credit scene.
Yeah.
But
if you talk about it, if we talking in movie, I would think Banjo would make more sense because Banjo's more goofy.
Yeah,
and he could play off Banjo the same way he did Donkey Kong.
I guess, but Conker's their Deadpool. So
yeah,
I don't know how.
That's true.
Yeah.
Conker was the movie Deadpool before movie Deadpool existed.
Yeah, basically.
But you know what's even worse? If we could get some of the older properties into it, like something like Gex, which was way worse than Conker as far as breaking the fourth wall.
Gex, Jesus,
man, that was like Cool Spot in 3D, basically. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Actually, I would love to see Conker and Gex actually meet because of how messed up that would be.
Yeah, and you've got, Crash too as well. I guess
I'm pretty sure
have them all team up.
I'm pretty sure Microsoft would never do that because they don't even want to make another game with Conker for some reason. So
I mean, look, after
So
they
much
put that
potential.
abomination of young Conqueror out for people to see, I'm like, nah, I don't want you to touch it either. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
You've got
you
a
kind of
blueprint.
needed to come back.
The
Look at
cracked
your
out
blueprint.
conquer.
You've got Ratchet and Clank. You've got Ratchet and Clank. Yeah,
Yeah.
your system also has an SSD, the power of an SSD. You could look at the power of the SSD in ray tracing. Look at how we jump from world to world, and because Conquer just literally parodies everything. Now we're in the Call of Duty world. I mean, now we're in the Saving Private Ryan world.
Yeah.
So Conquer is kind of
Yeah,
like
we knew that was Call of Duty.
with the scream movies or scary movies of everything.
Yeah.
Like let's make fun
Actually,
of these.
that
That'd be dope.
if you referenced all of those movies that Conquer's next game, that would work.
Yeah.
It would.
It actually would.
Man, that Matrix scene
And
was
again,
insane.
Yeah.
again, Microsoft make the purpose of the second game for Conquer to save Barry since he messed up at the end of the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, Conker's that dude. That's one of the many games I'm
he
like,
literally-
they're not going to use it. Send it back to Nintendo or something.
I'm just saying, when they made that game, they literally left a story beat for the next game.
Yep.
Because
I just like the idle animation of him getting bored, and he's just like, "Why don't we just get the hell on with it?" And he pulls out a Game Boy.
Yeah, that is funny. That is funny. All right, so we got one last thing to talk about, and then we're going to be out of here, people. And that's the reason the title of this episode is False Narratives. And I'm running on this one because of there's a article on Nintendo Life where they're saying, can we stop acting like games can't run, like the Call of Duty games can't run on Switch? And I'm like, yes, because all of these games, people try to pretend like, oh, this game can't run because so-and-so said so. Like, no, that's not actually accurate.
Impossible point.
Who
came up with this?
Once again, I try to be logical, right? I'm thinking it's this younger crowd to where they didn't see the different versions of one game. To where we had a Game Boy Advance version, you had the PlayStation version, you had you had multiple versions because they did it across handheld and system. To where nowadays they're just trying to take that one game and port it across everything, and if it don't work, it don't work. So it's
well, the problem is,
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! Go ahead.
I was gonna say the problem isn't that it's the younger crowd though; it's the people that were around before, during the third, the fourth, the fifth generation, that grew up, but probably only had one platform in their house and got mad because they couldn't have everything. So it's those people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
right
like,
now, the ones that are in the journalistic spot.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like it's a multi-answer thing because I don't think it's like a one-shot kill situation, but definitely for sure. I mean, when we look at Call of Duty, yes, it's a massive game because it doesn't seem like they optimize it at all. It's like they just leave everything as is when it comes down to just how big those file sizes are for that game. So when you look at it, when they said, okay, Microsoft has signed this 10-year deal, okay, that means that they're going to have somebody dedicated to build something for that system. It's not going to be a one-to-one in the sense of graphics, but they even said it was going to be one-to-one in the sense of game modes and features. So that just means that, okay, we just got to make something tailor-made for this. It's the same thing Capcom did with Monster Hunter. You didn't see Monster Hunter Worlds on the Switch, but then when you look at Rise, it's like, yeah, this can be done. It's just not going to be on par graphically, but who the hell cares at this point, as long as it functions well.
Yeah. And to be fair, the graphics were excellent on Monster Hunter Rise. They're excellent. So it's not like they. Yeah, because the thing is, there is no degradation, so to speak, because they actually built it for it. And I think that's one of the things that when Microsoft said for their 10-year deal, I'm like, Sony, you really shouldn't be complaining because you're saying that, oh, well, what if they're going to intentionally do this? You mean like you would tell people to do? Because going by that contract, it says that they're not doing that. So only thing that means is, hey, Microsoft's going to have a team dedicated for them. Sony's going to have a team dedicated for them. Nintendo's going to have a team dedicated for them. And I'm thinking the PC team is just probably going to be the Microsoft team, whichever that is. So I'm like, if that's truly the case, because right now you can only go off of what they said, right?
Yeah,
you can't say that, oh, they're going to do this. You don't know that. So That's the thing. I'm like, I get it, but that's how stuff should have been. Activision, Ubisoft, EA are big enough companies where they can have division parts of their employment dedicated to a specific system.
Mm-hmm.
They're big enough for that. This ain't a 4-person indie team. This is these companies are huge, and people need to stop acting like they're this. Oh, they can only work on the most advanced system. Like, dude, what? You don't even know what advanced means.
No. You still complaining about the games that you get on these systems. So what do you like? Come on now, like we just had this conversation earlier. We talking about Redfall. Yeah. Like, okay, so just because it has the horsepower does not mean the game is going to function. That's not how that works.
It just doesn't seem to me like that's ever been an issue when it came to PlayStation platform. 360 had a better development environment and better memory allocation than the PS3. The PS2 didn't even have hardware pixel and lighting. It was all done in software, and the other two platforms had it in the hardware. But that didn't stop PS2 and PS3 from being lead platforms. What is stopping Switch from being lead platform on games? And we can't say, oh, well, it's not powerful enough. Because if you design the game around the limitations of 720p and 1080p, like you conveniently did the last couple of generations, that didn't stop your massive vision, because 4K existed back then. You could have just dedicated all your time to PC if you wanted to, but you had all the time in the world to make games for 540p and 720p, and now magically you can't figure that to be a render target now? It just seems like you're picking and choosing to me. Mm-hmm. So what would stop a studio from saying our focus is on Nintendo Switch? And it's easier to port from Nintendo Switch than to Nintendo Switch. That means that when we do have our PS5 or Series X games, we can add even more special effects to it and whatnot, because we know by default it's going to run that engine that's on Switch. And then we can add whatever little doodads and add our extra texture sizes and whatnot to make it look better in 4K or whatever. Everybody wins. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, well, it's 1 year out after we launched on PS5 and Series X, and that shit ain't selling. So let's make a Nintendo version, and now it's going to take us a year or 2 years to get to it. And then when it comes out, now we got to sell it. We still got to sell it full price, $60, $70. And then wonder why it doesn't give us, it sells better than the Xbox and PlayStation version, but we didn't get as much as we could have gotten. Like, why wouldn't you? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And in a world where literally all these development environments can be virtualized, there's no excuses anymore. You can just say, hey, look, I want my game to run here with these requirements, because the whole point of having a console is fixed specs. Yeah. I want it to fit within these parameters. All right, what are we looking at? Oh, okay, so I gotta tile my assets so they work faster over here. I gotta change my SIMD instructions to be this over here because it works differently over here from over there. Like, all of these things can be done. It's money and the time and who's paying for it. But since third party doesn't want to do their job, they're letting Sony, Microsoft, and in some cases Nintendo do their job for them. So instead of Namco, since that was the last chat that just popped up, since Namco wants to put a game out, why are we looking to Sony to help us publish our game and promote our game? Why are we looking to Microsoft to help promote our game? There's zero reason for that. It is your job, Namco, to build a game for every platform and make sure it runs as good as it can on every platform, because it's your job to publish it there. So that means you're also funding the development for this project for all these targets that they're going to. If you get complaints from the PC community, oh, you running around and you building a patch for that motherfucker real quick.
Yeah. And then let's be real. Namco is not a small company. No, they're not a company with 10 employees. No. So this can easily be done. And RJ, I completely agree. I don't know why Scarlet Nexus and Tales of Arise isn't on Switch. I'm playing Tales of Arise on PS4, and I'm like, there's no excuse for this game not to be on Switch. None.
But games can't run on Switch, like Doom or Call of Duty, which is just crazy to me, even though it's on Wii U.
Yeah.
Madden, those games just can't run on the Switch.
And
No matter how big the game is, like NBA 2K is over 200 gigs on PS5, so there's no way it can fit on Switch.
Why is it here?
Yeah, there though, and crazy enough, it tends to look better year on year.
Yeah,
they're doing something with it.
So imagine if a dedicated team was doing that. If a EA Tiburon back then that focused on Nintendo versions of sports of EA games back then, if that existed for every major third party out there, you'll have your Nintendo version of Call of Duty, you have your Nintendo version of Assassin's Creed, your Nintendo version of Ninja Gaiden. It'll be insane. Like, we got our last Nintendo version of Ninja Gaiden because Nintendo published it, and it shouldn't be that way.
Everybody eats and everybody wins.
Yeah.
Well, so now when we get into this whole Microsoft and Sony debacle, right, over this Activision deal, can we say, like, or do we feel like it's a possibility that they're paying the money to keep it off of Nintendo? And I'm talking about both.
Well, according to what's coming out, it's pretty much been damn near it's been damn near said that Sony was doing that.
Yeah, they were doing that with not just Call of Duty, but
with Tales,
Auto, Tales games, numerous JRPGs in Japan. Because just think about it, you're local competition to Sony.
Yeah,
at a cheaper price point.
Yeah, because we know nobody has to pay EA not to do it, because they just got their own issue with Nintendo. But as far as the other ones, they just don't. It just doesn't make sense. And even when we saw in the comments earlier, why did Activision stop putting Call of Duty on Nintendo systems? The last one was the Wii U, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like it hasn't been on handheld. Somebody paid them to stop doing it. You don't stop doing it, and you've done it since the DS. Like,
making money too. Now it's not like they weren't making money. They were making money.
I would get it if you're like, these games aren't selling well, like, because they sold well enough on Wii to where they wanted to, hey, well, let's go ahead and make these versions of these games on Wii U or whatever. I don't know how well Black Ops 2 did on Wii U. I would imagine it did okay, because the lobbies were kind of active for a long period of time, without a patch. Go figure. But even if the series didn't do as well there, you got a brand new system, and even if you guess wrong on that system taking off, and then it took the fuck off, and then all the other games that you ported to that system sold decently, it goes without saying. And you're looking at your competitors, you're looking at Assassin's Creed, all these other games getting ported over, and you're like, the game we make the most money off of, we're not going to put there.
That makes no sense.
And you just look, you're just like, man, Overwatch went over there, Fortnite went over there, like,
and they don't have a FPS that's like that. So we be feeling the need.
I would not be surprised if there's an exclusivity clause with Activision in Japan only. But if there's a Japan issue, then that's going to spill over to the US, because the whole goal is to keep the Japanese competition from being there locally. So the competition is there locally. Yeah, they're not going to build it here either. Why would there be a US version and not a Japanese version?
Correct. Yeah, I agree there. Because even when you think about Activision, like, I guess you've had Microsoft and Sony pretty much pay for marketing rights. Nintendo's never going to do that. Like, they're never going to do it. So it's one of those things of like, okay, well, they're paying me, you're not. So all right, cool. We just won't show up. It's the weirdest thing.
You're still like missing, like, on those other platforms, you have competition. Now, albeit it's not
the best competition.
It's not the best, but it's still competition. On the one hand, they don't have anything like that.
Nothing.
So
and you would eat it up.
You would eat it up. That's easy. That's easy money. That's why do you think I keep saying Capcom's allergic to money?
So it's like, it's like, okay, well, we can't compete with Mario on Nintendo platforms, right?
And don't release.
Who said you got to compete with Mario? That's a completely different genre. Yeah. Once they're done playing Mario, what are they going to play if they want to play a shooter? Or
Yeah.
and then we over here, you're looking at Doom. You're looking at it selling okay. And how are you still then in a position where you're like, yeah, COD? No, we're not going to do it. You know, I'm like, your engine is built off of Quake. A calculator can run that engine. Obviously, you got to change how the visuals will look because it depends on what kind of graphical processing is there. But the CPU wise, the calculator can run that. That's just Quake. It's Quake. Like I don't. It just bewilders me because knowing exactly what the ones and zeros are here, and then hearing a PR guy go and say, "Well, I'm a developer," I'm just like, "But you work PR here, PR there, PR." But you're on an interview saying that you're a developer and you're saying what's possible and what's not. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
When a real developer says something, you pretend like you can't believe what he say.
Yeah, real developers ain't talking; they're coding. So, it's just, just being real, because like you don't have time.
The only one that I know talked was Katsuhiro Harada. That's for Tekken, when he was explaining about rollback netcode, and people got mad at him because he told the truth.
And that's in between projects. That's not why you're gearing up to promote your next project. Like, that's not happening. You don't have time for that. Like,
because he ain't talking now.
Nah.
He ain't even doing this. He ain't, because him and Sakurai have a YouTube channel that they do together from time to time. He ain't doing it because he's working on Tekken 8.
Yeah, you working on a project. All your social media still gonna be ghost.
Yeah.
Have we gotten platforms for that yet, or no?
Not yet. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be Xbox and PC and Sony.
I know that. That's a given.
Yeah, like RJ just put the nail in the coffin right there. Seeing that Street Fighter 6 is also on PS4. Capcom, what's up?
I mean, it's the RE engine. RE engine runs because originally remember RE engine couldn't run on the Switch until Monster Hunter Rise.
Interesting.
It can run.
Remember when people were trying to say Unreal Engine 4 couldn't run on Switch? Remember that foolishness?
That's true.
And then they were saying Unreal Engine 3 couldn't either. And then I'm like, I don't know. There's a really popular game out there with a bunch of race cars kicking a soccer ball around. That game got ported pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it worked pretty good. And then a modified Unreal Engine 3 game came that's the most popular one, and that's Mortal Kombat 11. So we can't start talking about engines now. It's cold, bro. You change what your delivery platform is, and then you just see what the output is and fine tune it until it works. That's essentially what it is. You can't. Games don't run on consoles. You build your game around what the console does. It's a set platform. It's not a PC. Like, a PC has a range of different configurations. Every Nintendo Switch, from Switch Lite to Switch OLED, has the exact same configuration under the hood. Yep. You can't complain if you know what the end result is. So you can't develop for it like it's a PC and be like, well, why won't it run with just this lower resolution version of it? Because, I mean, step one, drivers, shaders, they're compiled a different way than they are on. So you gotta like not treat it like it's a PC.
Yeah, you can't just port it just because you can't. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
That's a problem with some of these third parties. They just want to make one thing and then just port it over. It don't work like that. There's no magic switch that you can flip and make it work on another system. It doesn't work like that.
I mean,
unfortunately for them.
You got teams over here. There are plenty of postmortems. This is probably my third podcast talking about this in a row. There are plenty of postmortems of people legitimately saying, yeah, only having 3 cores on Switch kind of doesn't matter because those cores are used for junk on the other platforms. So, like, why are we using threads for sound? Switch has its own DSP. Port that shit over, let it run on a DSP. So, it's just strange to me, man. The SIMD instructions that obviously need to be converted. That kind of stuff, or it can run via shaders as well. So it just bothers me when that kind of stuff happens because the narrative of saying whether games can run or not that's a reflection of the talent of the team. Because again, it's not a PC. Are you going to tell me that you weren't capable enough to take essentially what everybody was bragging about during UE4 and UE3 demos, and you can't make a better demo than that? You can't make a better game engine than that. We got this impressive. I don't know if Jake can pull it up, but we just pulled up the UE3 demo of the Fire Knight, and everybody was impressed about that because it was on Tegra 3 then at the time, and then Tegra 4, and then Tegra X1 had a demo as well, just showing how the Unreal Engine could perform and do that kind of stuff at a fraction of the wattage as home consoles did at the time. This is what grabbed Nintendo's attention in the first place. So all those conversations are gone now. Like, nobody cares about Tegra anymore. At one point, everybody was bragging about it because I guess it wasn't associated with Nintendo, but now obviously it is. So if you admit to saying, "Hey, that's impressive," because that's only 11 watts, that's impressive. Now you gotta admit that it's also impressive on similar hardware, or the exact same hardware, I guess at this point. But it's what I said to somebody else before too. Like, Nintendo can have a brand new system capable of 8K, all the ray tracing in the world, real-time ray tracing, actual real-time ray tracing, and all that. And every third party be like, "Well, it's too complicated. We don't know how to. We just can't."
I mean, GameCube.
We just can't. We don't know how it. It's not in our wheelhouse. We're not. We're working on VR now. We don't care about.
Yeah. Well, they said this was probably GameCube.
That's why every time somebody brings up, "Oh, they just need to go to power," they just don't get it. No, you actually don't get it because they did that already.
Yes.
And you didn't buy it.
Overkill for 480p. Yeah. We was overkill for 480p.
And
legitimately overkill.
And remember what Iwata said? What was it? GDC 05?
Yeah.
You can't sustain this. If you try to go this route, you can't sustain it. They laughed at him.
I was going to save this for the end, but I just want y'all to see over here because it's there. It's there. You see that big old 8 right there? You can't even get the 4 and
because you got the 8.
You already put 8 on.
So don't you put an 8 there?
You got the 120 on there too. They got the 4K 120 on there too. I was like,
you need to put 540 on that box. I just just being real.
That's the thing, because when we were talking about the Redfall situation, I was telling him, I'm like, dude, I got those emails from Square Enix when they were telling me Avengers, if you want to run it in 4K, it was like the 30. They have not been able to do this. Like this, Redfall is not the first game to do this. So why y'all acting about this like this now? It makes no sense.
Yeah, and then to even go on the standpoint of like, 60 standard. Show me a handful of games where the shit is standard. It's not standard. It's not standard. Suggested, but it's not standard. Yeah. When we say standard, that means that nothing dips below that.
Yeah. Like most of these games are
from the start screen to the end credits, 60 frames per second. The frame time is even the entire game. Yeah. Show me a single game that does that. Even on PC, show me a single game that does that.
Every game does.
You will on PC, but what are they going to be? They're going to be games from 2015 using a modern graphics card, literally brute forcing that bitch.
Yep.
So it's
mind numbing. I know it's mind numbing, man. It's mind numbing.
But you know it would have been funny, and I know it will never happen, not in this day and time. Redfall came out and no one said anything. If anybody would have caught it,
they would have caught it.
The only way you catch half of stuff, like especially with the Resident Evil 4 situation, because I guess they had an issue with Xbox, so they released a patch. Oh, but the PS5 version is still better. But you would never know that if you didn't have them bitches sitting side by side. You're never going to do that yourself. So somebody went out of their way to do it, and you like, oh, well, that's why I'm not touching it. Cut it out. Stop. Stop.
Yeah.
Well, look right here in this one frame it hitches. Is that really?
Oh, you talking about when Digital Foundry did that with Mario Kart, and it was like,
man.
and right here, as you can tell, it dips to 58 frames a second.
It was a comparison between Elden Ring. Like it was Elden Ring, PS5 and Series X. They're comparing. Since the ray tracing patch came out. They're comparing. Like, and I'm like, bro, like a frame. During ray tracing, where you sacrifice half your shaders anyway to show the ray tracing, so you know you're not going to get the performance you need. So 30 FPS. We're comparing between 29, 28, and 30 frames per second. When y'all were talking about 60 to begin with, I thought 30 was unplayable.
Well, no, 30 hurts your eyes, but 40 is the sweet spot.
And it makes you.
Yeah, because Steam Deck. Yeah, that was the 40 thing. Yeah, they created that. I remember that trend. 40 is great. Anything under 60 was unplayable.
Didn't you just say that you can't play a game under 60 because it hurts your eyes? Like, these are people that I know, and they suddenly went quiet.
I can only play games at 60 frames per second. Or I guess you're only playing F-Zero GX then.
Yeah.
Go get your GameCube, bro.
or Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah, go get your GameCube.
Yeah, your GameCube version of Tales of Symphonia, because you're damn sure not playing the PS3 version.
You see, those systems were actually built for the resolution. They were actually designed for that resolution, and stunningly well, might I add. 480p. Oh yeah, we do that. It look real good. It looks real good. No dips here. We playing games over here. Unless you're a real bad port from PS2.
Splinter
Cell.
Splinter Cell, Grandia 2. All right, people, that's gonna do it for this episode. Glad you guys come through. Thank you once again for the chat. We appreciate y'all every week. We are on our road to 150, so you got something special coming for 150. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. Shadow, anything you want to pimp out?
Man, yeah. So I wanted to do something special a couple weeks ago. They got pushed to the right a little bit. I'll try to talk to some guests, see if I can have them come on. But Wednesday is all about Zelda, so you guys stay tuned. Back to my regular time again, so it'll be 7:00 on Wednesday. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I did one, but I'll be back. I'll be back at 7 on Wednesday, and I'm just gonna give my opinions about where I think this is gonna go. Looks really good, so. Should be some fun to talk about it. I know you guys haven't heard my take on Zelda in a minute, so yeah.
I just want to ask you one thing. What you think about your boy Demise?
Man, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be ready to go. He's gonna be ready to go. You already know. You already know what's happening. I'm ready.
You saw the locks. You saw them red locks. You saw that arm. Crap.
I'm just wondering if your boy Groot's gonna pop up. That's all I want to know. Just have him in there as the awesome cameo, and let you know that he was the former king of the Gerudo. So
there's a reason why he's only a one man to all them women. Anyway, Jack, anything you want to pimp out, Jack?
Haram!
Yeah, exactly. But no, man. Honestly, like with Zelda coming up here in just a couple of weeks, seems like it's going to be an amazing game, but then honestly, to just community and then anybody that watches this, stay away from Digital Foundry. Man. Like I've literally seen people like not touch games because of them. Like I understand, like there's trying to serve somewhat of a purpose. I'm not quite sure what the hell it is, but it's like I get it. A lot of people want to see these things to have arguing points, which go absolutely nowhere because Sony don't pay you, Microsoft don't pay you. It is what it is. But in all honesty, we have great games coming out. Whether you're into the action RPG element of Final Fantasy, whether you're into this new spin and turn when it comes down to Zelda, because I know people want the original, but this is giving it like a new turn. Whether you're looking forward to Pikmin coming later this year, there's so many games that's coming in to let a Digital Foundry or to let somebody on whatever platform derail you from picking these games up is nuts. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you ain't got the bread for it, I hear you 100%. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, when we look at most of these games, they'll come down. Zelda, nah, that ain't happening. You might as well go ahead and get that at 7. But for the rest of them, you can wait. You can definitely wait. But nonetheless, still enjoy this year. If you're blessed enough to actually game and have at least one of these consoles, at least enjoy it while you got it. You know what I mean? So That's all I got to say.
Yeah, straight up. All right, people. Once again, thank you to everybody. We're going to be here once again next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to have a guest show up that hasn't been on the channel in a while, so please come through and make sure you show some love. Peace out, people.
Peace.